Welcome to this deep dive explainer. Look, if you're an aspiring entry-level IT tech, maybe you're a high school student jumping into concurrent enrollment or a college freshman, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're laying down the absolute foundation for your entire IT career and getting you prepped for those crucial CompTIA A+ exams. We're going to hit the essential vocabulary, the core hardware components, and the safety skills you absolutely need on day one. So let's just jump right into it. To give you a clear roadmap today, here's what we're covering. Section 1, the IT technician mindset. Section 2, the hardware and software ecosystem. Section 3, inside the computer case. Section 4, peripherals, input and output. Section 5, bits, bytes, and data. And Section 6, essential safety habits.
Section 1, the IT technician mindset, professional soft skills.
You might be surprised, but the CompTIA A+ Core 2 exam actually tests your professional mindset directly. Before you even pick up a screwdriver, you need 3 core qualities: active listening, a positive attitude, and logical thinking. Think about active listening for a second. If a user tells you, hey, my computer is slow, but only after I open Excel, a weak technician might ignore that and just reboot the machine. But a great tech, they zero in on that detail about Excel. That little clue is your key to solving the issue logically, instead of just taking wild guesses in the dark. A huge part of mastering this mindset comes down to how you communicate. When a user comes to you with a problem, asking a weak yes or no question like, is it slow, really doesn't give you much to work with. Instead, you want to ask open-ended questions. Try something like, when does the computer feel slow and what programs are open? See the difference? That encourages the user to give you the full context. Open-ended questions are totally crucial because they prevent tunnel vision and stop you from fixating on the wrong cause right out of the gate. Okay, the next critical soft skill is knowing how to find answers. Honestly, no one expects you to memorize everything. Here's how you do a rock-solid internet search. First, identify the specific device and the exact issue. Second, grab the model number and the operating system. Third, search using specific terms. So instead of a super weak search like keyboard broken, you combine everything into a powerhouse search. Something like HP Pavilion 15, keyboard, intermittent keys, Windows 11 driver. Finally, always verify what you find with official documentation. That is exactly how real IT pros tackle unfamiliar problems every single day. Section 2, hardware and software ecosystem. The IT ecosystem stack. So, every computer operates in these cooperative layers. Down at the absolute bottom, you've got hardware. That's the physical stuff you can actually touch. Right above that is the OS kernel and the operating system itself, which manages all that hardware. Up at the top are your applications, but right there in the middle, sandwiched between the OS and the hardware, are device drivers. Listen, this is an absolute exam must-know. A device driver is just software that lets your operating system talk to specific hardware. So if a piece of hardware isn't working, please don't automatically assume it's physically broken. 9 times out of 10, a missing or corrupted device driver is the real culprit. Now that ecosystem runs on all sorts of physical forms. You'll regularly encounter desktop towers, all-in-one PCs where the computer is built straight into the monitor, laptops, tablets, and smartphones. For your A+ Core 1 exam, you're really expected to have a recognition-level understanding of where each of these fits in. Like desktop towers are by far the easiest to upgrade, whereas things like tablets and smartphones, they are way less repairable for an entry-level tech. Section 3, inside the computer case, internal components. All right, let's look at what's actually running the show. That massive circuit board connecting literally everything together, that's the motherboard. Plugged directly into that is the CPU, which acts as the computer's brain, carrying out all the instructions. And usually tucked up in a corner is the power supply, which takes wall AC power and converts it into DC power for the machine. And hey, I need to issue a very strong technician caution right here. Never, ever open a power supply, period. It can hold a highly dangerous, potentially lethal electrical charge, even when it is totally unplugged from the wall. Just don't do it. Now, let's clear up a major point of confusion that is an absolute staple on the A+ exam. You have got to know the difference between RAM and a storage drive. RAM, or random access memory, is your temporary working space. It's highly volatile. That means the second the power drops, boom, everything inside it vanishes. On the flip side, a storage drive, like an SSD or a hard drive, is for long-term storage. It permanently holds your files and your operating system, even when the computer is completely powered down. Do not mix those two up. Section 4, peripherals, input and output. Peripherals are basically the ways we interact with the machine. Input devices, think keyboards and webcams, send data into the computer. Output devices, like your monitors or standard speakers, receive data from the computer. But get this, some devices do both. A headset is the perfect example of an input-output device. Imagine a user submits a help desk ticket saying, "My headset isn't working in Zoom." Before you assume the hardware is busted, use that logical thinking we talked about. It might just be that Zoom is trying to use the laptop's built-in microphone instead of the headset. The fix is often as simple as flipping an op setting.
If you're troubleshooting a basic peripheral like a mouse, you can just run through a really simple checklist. Check the cable or the wireless receiver, confirm the batteries actually have power, try plugging it into a completely different USB port, test it on another surface, and maybe gently wipe the optical sensor. But honestly, it's worth noting that standard keyboards and mice today are generally considered throwaway technology. Why? Because the labor cost of paying an IT tech for an hour to fix a cheap mouse is actually way higher than just going out and buying a brand new one.
Section 5. Bits, bytes, and data. Digital data basics. Okay, watch out for this next one because it is a massive A+ exam trap and a huge point of confusion. Capitalization matters. A lowercase b stands for a bit, which is just a single binary 1 or 0. An uppercase B, however, stands for a byte. And the golden rule you need to commit to memory right now is that 1 byte equals exactly 8 bits. You've got to remember to check the capitalization when you're reading computer specs. Let me show you why this actually matters in the real world. Let's say an internet provider advertises a speed of 1 gigabit per second. Notice they almost always use a lowercase b, because 1 byte equals 8 bits. If you divide that 1 gigabit by 8, it actually translates to roughly 125 megabytes per second. In theory, an uppercase B, megabytes, is how your files are actually measured on your computer. This is exactly why your file downloads often look so much slower than the advertised package speed. It's all in the capitalization. So these units scale upward systematically. We start at the very bottom with a single bit. 8 of those bits make up a byte, which is roughly the size of a single text character. From there, we climb the ladder by multiples of about 1,000. You go up to a kilobyte for small text files, a megabyte for high-res photos, a gigabyte for your RAM and video files, all the way up to a terabyte for massive storage drives and server backups. Section 6. Essential safety habits. Essential procedures. Now, safety is absolutely not something we save for later chapters. It matters from day one to protect you, to protect the user's data, and of course to protect the expensive equipment. Let's quickly run through these vital, non-negotiable rules. Number 1, always power off and completely unplug the computer before you open the case. Keep in mind, a dark monitor does not mean the tower is actually powered off. 2, take off any dangling jewelry. 3, keep all your liquids far, far away. 4, like we said earlier, never open a power supply. And finally, use proper lifting technique, meaning bend at the knees, not your back, when you're hauling heavy towers or printers around the office. When you finally do go inside the case, remember that careless handling can cause electrostatic discharge, or ESD. That's static electricity from your body literally jumping over to the components, and it can silently destroy a motherboard or a stick of RAM in a fraction of a second. ESD awareness starts right now, the exact moment you pop up in a case, which is why following proper grounding procedures is just so critical. So, to wrap up our explainer today, I'm going to leave you with a little scenario to think about. You walk up to a dark, completely silent desktop tower on a user's desk, and you're ready to upgrade the RAM. You have your ESD strap on, you've got your screwdriver in hand, but what is the absolute very first thing you must do before you even touch that case? Think carefully about everything we've covered today regarding hidden power and assumptions. The answer might just save your equipment and your life. Keep learning, stay safe, and we will catch you in the next deep dive.